Welcome back to our third episode of Calm Over Chaos. We are so excited to be here with you guys.
Yes, I'm happy to be back. Third time's a charm.
Yeah.
Yes, so today we are going to be diving into the topic of mental health and how we are setting our emotions and how we are coping with certain things that come up in our life that kind of throw us for a loop.
Yes. So, want to dive on it?
Sure, yes. I think a lot of times people are afraid to even bring up the word mental health, just because of the statistics and, the negative meaning that it kind of like has behind it. But I think it's important too, because it's definitely something that a lot of people deal with, whether they want to admit it or not. And I for sure have had a very interesting journey with mine, and just kind of like discovering myself, letting myself feel certain emotions, or how to navigate through and push forward. For a long time, I think as a child, I necessarily didn't have too many bad thoughts, but as I got older and started to realize certain things in my life that either were not serving me or just made me think and be in my head a lot. But as I started getting older and going to school and going off to college, I realized that I'm okay, this is something serious, because the thoughts that I do think in my head that aren't always good, that's, not something that you should keep to yourself. And for a while, it took a lot for me to admit to, because, when you're growing up in middle school, they have those things where, they try to talk to the kids about mental health, suicide, and just how to navigate through life. Because I think kids do go through, at a part in your life, I feel as your childhood, I feel you go through somewhat the most, that's what kind of shapes you and builds your emotions. And so, they talked about it, but it was never something that I thought oh, this would be my story, or I wouldn't be, sitting here talking about how I battle, sometimes with my thoughts and just letting things get the best of me and consume my energy. But yes, it's definitely important to talk to somebody. Because I'm the type of person, I don't like everybody in my business. I don't like to allow people to see me at my weakest moments. And that's you got to be real with yourself at certain points. And it's everybody has weak moments, and it's okay to talk about it,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my mental health as a child, I was the only child. And so I kept a lot of things in. I didn't have anyone to really express every little thing to. So I felt everything was just bottled in. And so I think that played a part in my mental health as an adult, because I had never voiced my opinion or never voiced anything. And I feel keeping those emotions in really can take a toll on your mental health.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you just kind of become your own inner critic. That inner voice in your head is sometimes just a monster, or it's just not the best voice for you.
Right.
So just dwelling on, your own things, your own thoughts and stuff like that, sometimes can be what's hindering your, your mental health. Just keeping those things in.
Mm-hmm.
But we can always be our own inner critic, and I think that plays a part in a lot of people's
goals. Yeah, for me, for sure, because literally that's been my situation.
Mm-hmm.
And to piggyback off what you said earlier, I wasn't the only child growing up, but I was the only girl in my household. And me being the youngest, and me being just the one that was always doing something, always busy, outgoing, I lacked the emotional intelligence to know that those feelings that I felt when I was young of feeling like I was doing too much or like I was always loud or like busy and stuff like that were okay to feel because I was a kid, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And just because like an adult or someone doesn't understand or have the capacity to, you know, take on my emotions or really, you know,
Right.
come to my level, it's like, who are you to judge or make me feel like I can't feel these emotions or, you know, feel lonely? Because essentially, like, I kind of did. Because like I said before, you know, you guys, my siblings are so much older than me. I kind of feel like I played with myself a lot too growing up. So it was a lot of, you know, playing with myself, talking to myself, you know, just in my thoughts. And that's not always good. But once I did get older, you know, I did, you know, start hanging around like, you know, girls my age and, you know, started getting active and stuff like that. But I do think that support in that village early on is important. Like, even starting in the womb, like, that's one of the things that I realized what I want to accomplish before I have children is to make sure that I heal my inner child and I, you know, get through the certain emotions that haven't always served me. So that way I can bring my child or kids into a world where, you know, it's open and then they're free to be able to express their emotions or come to me to talk about anything.
Yes.
Because it's important. I think I needed that because I know deep down, like, within my faith, like, you know, just suicide in general is, you know, not the way to go. Like, you know, growing up, I was always told, like, you know, that's not something good. Like, you know, that's bad. And, you know, just like how spiritually, how that kind of like cuts your ties of like when you do go on in a sin, like how it won't feel necessarily like heaven because you've taken it upon yourself to take necessary actions to, you know, end your life or whatever. So I always knew it's not the best thing. I just have struggled with like not, you know, thinking those thoughts as often because it does happen.
Yeah.
Recently did happen to me because, you know, something happened in my life that took a turn that I wasn't expecting. But I had to realize too, like, it was just the devil, you know, trying to get in my mind and consume me to thinking that, you know, I no longer wanted to be here when it's like, I do.
Right.
And I know I do.
Right.
So yeah, just realizing that too kind of like, you know, made me rethink because I'm like, I don't have kids right now. And it's like, you know, those thoughts of like feeling like, you know, I don't really have nothing to live for. So it's like, why not? But it's like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. I feel that because I feel like everyone has had those thoughts, the suicide thoughts before. Especially when one is to hit like a wall in their life and they're like, I don't know what else to do. Like, I give up, you know?
Yeah.
And it's like, you give up.
It seems so easy to, but it's like, it's not,
Yeah.
you know?
You give up mentally, but it's like, those thoughts are not even your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know? Those are
Yeah.
thoughts of the devil. Like, God didn't put us here. He didn't give us those thoughts. So those thoughts
Exactly
are not our thoughts.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's one thing too. It's like, it's like, you know, I know I'm a child of God. So it's like, even though I may stress or I may worry or, you know, blow things out of proportion, like essentially like it all works out in the end.
Yeah.
Like, and I think too, like personally, like a part of my personality is like, I always got to stress about it first or like take it to the extreme. And then it's like, oh, you know, that wasn't that bad.
Right.
It's like, I think the main struggle is just like trying to like train my mind to think more positively and not automatically thinking like, oh, okay, like I've had enough, you know?
Yeah.
Because like when I think back, like my situations you know, it could be worse.
Right.
You know?
Right.
But yeah, like then too, like I think about it and I get emotional about it too because it's like I do have stuff to live for. You know, it's just certain things I haven't seen yet and I'm always in a rush and I think I know everything when it's like, the moment that I, give up could have been like easily 2 seconds where God could have changed my situation around.
Yeah.
And it's like if I would have like just been more patient and calm and, just praying about it instead of worrying or thinking those thoughts, I'd be better off and I wouldn't be like trying to think that I, want to take the easy way out when it's like, that's not good.
It's not. And it's like, you say like, if you don't have kids right now, you feel like you don't have anything to live for, but it's like, you do. Like, even though you don't have kids, like you have me for sure. Like I'm your sister, so I'm like, yeah, talking about.
I know, and yeah, you. But that's the thing. Like that's the prime example of like that mental battle that people struggle with daily. That it's hard to admit, and it's hard to talk about it. And it's like, of course it is. We just have to find those avenues to where we can have something that can like easily bring us joy or, reel us back in to let us know that it's going to be okay. Like, and it is okay to like, be down and stuff like that, but don't stay there.
Don't stay there long.
Yeah.
Give yourself grace, but also, know when to come out. Like,
exactly.
Hey, it's time. I can't stay here forever. Otherwise, I'm going to stay here forever, literally.
Right. Yeah. And I'm always like trying to uplift other people too. I'm like, I need to do more of that for myself. Like, I can give you a whole sermon all day. Like, I'll play the choir, I'll play the, the deaconess, I'll play the preacher, the preacher, excuse me, or whoever. Like, if I'm thinking negative or I'm worried about something, I'm like, I'm writing it down, then I'm crumbling it up and I'm throwing it away and I'm done with it, and that's helped me to move on because I'm like, I usually hold on to stuff.
Yeah.
Too. That's been one thing. It's like, hold on to stuff I realized has not served me. Like, it don't change it. It don't make it, better, worse. It just, it is what it is at that point, but it's all about how you navigate through.
Yeah. Because it's like holding on to it, it all just piles up instead of, okay, I went through this, release. I'm going through this, release. And it's just like we do try to hold on to things,
Yeah, I agree. I think what you said earlier too was a great tip for people because I usually like, I'll tell certain people, and you know this for sure because I'll call you in a heartbeat, especially recently about stuff. But I've been more like self-aware of like asking people first, like, hey, do you have time to talk, or are you able to listen to me, like dump my burdens on you or whatever? Like, do you have the emotional capacity to hear all my problems first before I just like immediately start talking your ear off or just like disregarding your situation and your feelings and your emotion? So that's one thing I've like tried to do too, because I'm like, we're all human.
Yeah.
But then again, like, if I am like self-aware and I'm like, okay, maybe this is not the time to really just dump this on her, or, I'm like, okay, let me go to what should have been my first alternative is to, like you said, go to God about it, pray about it, write it down, whatever it is, release it that way. And finding healthy ways to release, because I think that's necessary, is for us to release all the emotions that don't serve us and just be in a routine of like, you might fall down or you might bump yourself here and there, but you're going to essentially like get back up,
Yes. And I'm glad you said that because that is one thing that I stress all the time. I don't know why it gets to me, but like I do feel like people should ask like, hey, are you available? Do you have the time? Because, you're calling someone who's probably maybe in the worst situation than you are. And they're like,
and
they're feeling bad because they truly can't be there for you. And it's just like, I feel like just have that line in the sand. Hey, can I talk to you? And that's okay, and because we are all humans. Life is life, and like we're all going through things.
Yeah.
Every day is different for everybody. So
yeah,
I stress that to my friends too. I'm like, because I do the same thing. I call people or text. I actually text people first before I call them, just to make sure that they're available mentally or just emotionally.
Yes, yeah, because that's one thing. It's like you could be like seeing me or whatever, but are you or hearing me, but are you listening?
Right.
Like, do you understand the words that's coming out of my mouth? Do you feel me? Like,
Yeah.
please let me. Like, and that's the thing too. More so, I just be wanting people to like understand where I'm coming from too.
Mm-hmm.
And I realize I might not always be right about a situation or like what I've done. So it just, most of the time be like, I just need somebody to hear me or like validate me on like if I'm like, because I know I'm over the top, I'm a little crazy or whatever, but
We all are.
just for somebody to like be on my level, understand that
Yeah.
I'm not too crazy now when it comes to certain situations. Like, this is not something I made up or, like it's my intuition always be right. So I'm like, it's never that. And it's the one thing too is like, I have to realize it's not always me. Like sometimes it is the other person.
Yeah.
Or the other situation. And at that point, like I've gotten older to like be like, it is what it is. Like I'm learning to not react so much. The most you get out of me is just, all right, okay.
Yeah.
And just like, let you have it or whatever. Cause I'm like, it don't be worth it for me to stress. Cause I will stress about it.
Okay, sister. So currently, how are you dealing with your emotions or your mental health or both?
So as of right now, I've recently been being more intentional with journaling. I've done it, over the years and like as a young girl, but I think that it's important to be intentional and make sure that you are, looking through your journal and like whatever it is you're going through and documenting, because essentially like it has helped me to like go back and like read whatever I was, going through or, trying to release or, having a devotional with and just, writing down my thoughts. I've been able to see my growth and like, just how I think and how I incorporate certain things in my life to, push a like more positive and peaceful lifestyle.
Yeah.
So essentially just journaling and making sure that you're not just, writing stuff down and then just forgetting about it or, not doing the work.
Right.
And actually like taking accountability, writing in your journal, keeping up with it, going back and, reading some of your lessons or whatever it is that you were journaling about to help you, see the bigger picture and, just essentially see your growth.
Yes, I like that. You told me that before, and it changed actually my journaling like experience. When you told me like, hey, when you journal, like it's important for you to go back to what you said before or what you said a year ago in your journal because it shows you your growth. So I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then to just having something like, it's easy to find a pencil or a pen or, on a blank piece of paper. I usually like to try to like keep specific journals, like maybe for specific things too. So just making sure that you're intentional with that and, going back and actually like seeing what it is that you have said or, or going through a year ago, because that could be the very thing that could help you in this very moment. Now, again, the year, 2 years, from then. So, yeah, I definitely agree. I'm so glad that you like journaling too, because I'm like, it's therapeutic. Like, things like journaling, painting, walking, like, just those soft things I feel like has helped me try to like, pull my mental health back together and in a good standpoint. So what about you?
I agree. Going back to the basics, like people don't realize like the basic things that we are needing in our life is truly what's important for the big things in our life. But for me, I feel like just as I've gotten older, listening to myself. Like I said, I grew up as an only child, so when I had friends, I would do what my friends did or whatever, they thought I thought too. And then as I got older, I grew out of that. I was like, it's time for you to actually tune in to, you know, what's in your heart and listen to yourself.
Yeah.
Because truly, like, we came into this world by ourselves. So we're going out by ourselves, you know, so everyone's thoughts and opinions, it's nice, it's helpful. Like, we all need that, but you also have to go within. So
I agree. That's good.
yes.
Super. Thank you guys for tuning in again for another episode. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, and comment on our video.
Yes.
Bye.